In a world where conformity is the norm and independence is seen as a threat, Sigma males will always stand out. These intelligent individualists are known for their unwavering independence, quiet confidence, and unyielding refusal to be controlled by others. Whether it's a boss, a partner, or a friend, Sigma males are notoriously difficult to control. Even if someone somehow manages to get them to do something, it will likely be out of their own free will rather than because they were manipulated or coerced. But what makes them so fiercely unmanageable? While many people might find this behavior threatening, it's actually a testament to their strength and fearlessness in standing up for what they believe in. I'm not talking about their refusal of any leader, but their rejection of superiority and deceit in general. So without further ado, here are 10 reasons why no one can control Sigma males. 1. They will not tolerate subordination. Because they value their freedom above all else, these men refuse to be subordinate to anyone or anything and resist being controlled. They will push back against any attempts to overpower them, as they perceive this as a fundamental threat to their independence. They will not tolerate situations where someone is trying to impose them as subordinates, and they will push back against anyone who attempts to do so. This trait is why Sigma men are often considered anti-authority, as the idea of someone manipulating them is intolerable. They're incredibly difficult to control and work with if you try to force them into a subordinate position or challenge their freedom. They will not blindly follow any rules or orders they don't agree with, and they will always make sure to voice their opinions if they feel something is wrong. Sure, if everything is in alignment with their own values, they can be quite cooperative and willing to comply. But getting them to do something against their values is almost impossible. That's why many Sigmas are seen as loners who prefer doing things their way. They are not afraid to take a stand and fight for something they believe in. 2. They have strong perceptive skills. Many Sigma males have a heightened sense of intuition and perception that allow them to quickly assess people and situations. This perceptive ability helps them to differentiate between genuine motives and those that may seek to manipulate or control them. They may be less likely to fall into deceptive ploys or to be used by others. It's difficult to control someone who can see through deceit and manipulation, which is why Sigma men are often difficult to control. Because they have an intuitive sense of self, it's difficult to make them do something that doesn't align with their values or personal vision. Their strong perceptive skills also make it difficult to predict their behavior and control them according to predetermined plans or strategies. While it may be possible to get them to do something, it will likely have to be done in a way that doesn't involve direct manipulation or coercion. This doesn't mean they are immune to control, but that it becomes difficult to maintain over the long term. 3. They have strong boundaries. These men clearly understand their boundaries and limits, prioritizing their personal space, time, and energy. They are clear communicators who make it known when someone crosses their borders. This strength in creating and enforcing boundaries makes it challenging to control them. To command someone, you have to force them into a state of subordination. This means you need to make them relinquish their autonomy and power, which is hard to do for someone who has strong boundaries. Sigma males are not easily intimidated and won't let others dictate their lives or interfere with their personal limits. Sigmas will resist control and push back against anyone who tries to cross their boundaries, making them much harder to control. While some may be intimidated by their independent spirit, Sigmas view this as a source of strength and freedom. Not only are they protective of their personal boundaries, but they also stay away from toxic relationships or situations that bring them down. They know when it's time to move on and don't let anyone control their journey. While some may view them as isolated and aloof, Sigma men are very aware of their surroundings and the people in them. They understand that enabling toxic behavior harms their well-being, so they choose not to be around it. 4. They are pragmatic thinkers. Sigma men are highly practical and often shrewd in their thinking. They don't follow conventional wisdom or take things at face value. They have a highly analytical mind and can assess situations impartially. This pragmatism and objectivity make them more challenging to control. Their unconventional mindset is hard to predict, and you can't control someone if you can't predict their moves. So they are much harder to manipulate than someone who follows established conventions. Sigma men use their own rules instead of just accepting what they hear. The strategies that work well on other people might not work with them. The lack of control over them can be frustrating for those trying to keep them in line. They are often seen as rebellious without a cause because they don't conform easily to the expectations of others. But this is far from the truth, as their motivations and values often lead them on their chosen path. Being able to think objectively and form their own ideas and opinions gives them the freedom to make choices without being influenced by others. Their mind is a fortress that can be difficult to penetrate, protecting them from unnecessary influence and manipulation. 5. They are reserved and mysterious. It's not easy to get to know a Sigma man, as he often keeps to himself. Sigmas usually don't reveal much about themselves, and they choose their words wisely. They are introverted and calculated when it comes to social interaction. This reserved nature makes them difficult to control, as it's hard to manipulate someone if you don't know their thoughts and feelings. Sigma males can be mysterious and often prefer to keep people in the dark about their true intentions. They are thoughtful individuals who plan out their actions, rarely letting anyone in on what they are up to. They don't do this out of maliciousness, but rather to protect themselves. By keeping people in the dark, Sigmas stay one step ahead of those who may be trying to control them or take advantage of their strengths. Some may view this as suspicious behavior, but it's simply a way for Sigmas to maintain their independence. It's difficult for someone to manipulate a Sigma male if they can't get close enough to him or understand what makes him tick. So while it may be frustrating for those who want to control him, it serves as an effective defense mechanism for the Sigma himself. So his mysteriousness and reserve can be a source of strength rather than weakness. 6. Detachment from material possessions. Sigma males are not interested in material possessions, status symbols, or societal recognition. They don't correlate money or objects with happiness or fulfillment. They aim to live a simple and uncluttered life, so controlling them through material possessions is difficult. Don't get me wrong. Sigma men are not averse to owning nice things or earning money, but they do so on their own terms and only indulge in the material world when it serves their values and goals. So while they may be difficult to control through material possessions, that doesn't mean Sigmas can't become successful or even wealthy. They simply won't let anyone use or manipulate their path to success. Rather than conforming to societal standards and trying to impress others, Sigmas are perfectly fine with living an independent, authentic life. They prioritize living by their values over accumulating nonsense luxury just to show off. They understand that lasting fulfillment comes from within, not from material possessions or societal recognition. This detachment allows them to build a strong sense of self without needing anyone's approval. By resisting control and detaching themselves from external validation, Sigmas remain autonomous and independent in the face of adversity. 7. They are incredibly self-reliant. Sigma men take care of their needs, including their emotional, physical, and financial needs. They don't rely on other people for validation, approval, or financial support. Their self-reliant nature applies to other areas of their lives as well. They will take action and get things done without waiting for somebody else to do it for them. They don't let external forces control their lives or dictate their actions, so it's difficult for anyone to manipulate them. They also take responsibility for their actions and don't blame or make excuses when things go wrong. They are independent thinkers who trust their intuition and follow their own path rather than trying to fit in with the crowd. This makes them difficult to control, as their decisions are based on their own internal motivation rather than external pressures. Many Sigma males may not even realize how truly self-reliant they are, as this is simply a natural part of who they are. Even though they may not admit it, their self-reliance is a powerful source of strength and resilience. 8. They don't do what everyone else is doing. Unlike society, which likes to categorize people into specific stereotypes, Sigma males have no interest in conforming to social norms, expectations, or labels. They won't follow the crowd, dress in the same way, or have the same hobbies or interests as everyone else. They prefer to be independent thinkers who chart their own path and don't follow the trends of the herd. They don't want to be controlled by anybody or anything. Because of their refusal to conform, they are really difficult to control. People who try to manipulate Sigma men are perceived as a direct threat to their freedom and independence, which will cause them to resist and become even more nonconformist. Their lone wolf nature is a psychological protective shield that makes them difficult to deceive through coercion or group pressure tactics. 9. They have a strong sense of self. Sigma males know their worth and clearly understand who they are and what they stand for. They won't simply conform to someone else's wishes just because it may be convenient or easier at the moment. While this may be seen as stubbornness or rebelliousness, it also speaks to their determination and confidence in who they are. They don't define themselves through others' opinions or approval and are confident in their choices and decisions. This sense of self-worth makes it challenging to control them. Unlike those insecure and lacking self-esteem, Sigma men are not swayed by external forces such as pressure or manipulation. They know what they want and won't deviate from their path to attain it. Anyone trying to control a Sigma must challenge their sense of self or identity, which is very difficult to accomplish. 10. Independence is their core value. These men value their independence above all else. They strive to remain autonomous and resist being used. This is not out of arrogance or disrespect for others, but rather an intentional choice to remain true to themselves and their values. Sigmas understand that they alone are responsible for their own lives, so they make decisions accordingly. This can be seen in how they pursue relationships and careers. They won't sacrifice their autonomy or change their identity just to please others or fit into a certain mold. Even when it would be easier to conform, Sigmas will remain independent and authentic in the face of pressure. This makes it really difficult to manipulate, as they will always choose their own path regardless of what anyone else says.